Okay, so Malaysia. Not exactly the first place you think of when you hear, like, exploding pickleball scene, right?
Not exactly top of mind.
But here's the thing. Since 2019, this sport and the New Straits Times call it get this, a delightful fusion of tennis and table tennis. It's just taken off like
Bristol
crazy,
Fusion, huh? Catchy.
right? And they're saying it's sweeping the country and the world like wildfire. Wildfire.
That's quite the image. So, what are we thinking? Is this more than just a fun way to pass the time? Could there be like a real business angle here?
That's exactly where we're going with this. And that's where this playbook by David Ho comes in. He's asking, could this be, and it sounds a little crazy at first, but could this be like a really smart ESG move for Malaysia's big companies, PLCs?
ESG, as in environmental, social, and governance. Pickleball,
Yeah,
like
right.
you.
I know, right? It seems like a bit of a stretch at first, but when you think about it, a sport with this much potential for social impact, and how well it seems to align with how Malaysia's looking at sustainability reporting now with that NSRF framework, it gets interesting really fast.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me. For everyone listening, we're going deep on this today. We're talking about how sports, specifically pickleball, could be a secret weapon for businesses, especially here in Malaysia.
Exactly. And we'll be looking at this playbook to figure out why. But first, let's talk about just how fast pickleball has grown in Malaysia. Because wildfire is a pretty strong word.
It is, yeah. And honestly, it's not an exaggeration. A few years ago, nobody was talking about pickleball. Now, it's everywhere. You see people playing, hear people talking about it. It's really taken hold.
And it's interesting, the Tuk Pikan Ramlee, he's a pretty prominent voice when it comes to sports here in Malaysia. In Sinar Daily, he was talking about how accessible pickleball is. Anyone can play it, regardless of age, which is so important. He even thinks it has the potential to become a professional sport here.
That's huge, right? I mean, that kind of endorsement speaks volumes about how inclusive and, frankly, how exciting pickleball is.
Totally. And it's not just happening in one city or state. Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Sarawak, they're all in on pickleball. But Sarawak seems to be like the real leader, wouldn't you say?
No, for sure. Sarawak's gone all in. They're building the infrastructure, hosting these major tournaments, really putting themselves on the map as a pickleball hub. It's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking back, and Malaysia actually joined the International Federation of Pickleball as an associated member way back in 2019. So clearly some people saw this coming.
That's pretty forward thinking. And you can see that early vision paying off now. You've got the Borneo Pickleball International Tournament, the BPIT 2024, which drew over 500 players and something like 2,000 spectators. They even had a MYR 20,000 prize pool. That's serious.
No kidding. And then there's that arena, the pickleball arena in Kuching, Sarawak. I read that PR Newswire called it the largest purpose-built indoor pickleball venue in Asia. I mean, wow.
That's a statement, right? It shows you the kind of investment that's going into pickleball here. And it's smart, really, having that dedicated infrastructure, a place where people can play year-round. It's crucial for growing any sport.
And it's not just private investment either. You've got the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Industry, and Performing Arts Sarawak, and the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Entrepreneur Development Sarawak, both backing pickleball. Having that government support can really make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. It gives the sport legitimacy, and it opens doors to resources and funding that wouldn't be there otherwise. But you know what really struck me while reading this playbook? It's not just about the big tournaments and the fancy arenas. There's this incredible grassroots energy behind pickleball in Malaysia.
Right, like Mohd Faisal.
Yeah.
The playbook mentions him and his push to make pickleball more accessible, more inclusive, by working with partners to increase the number of courts and making sure people have access to equipment.
It's people like him, these passionate individuals who truly believe in the power of sport. They're the ones driving this movement forward.
Exactly. And it's people like Hazley Yusof from the Ansara Malaysia Pickleball Club. He really gets it. He talked about why pickleball has become so popular. It's easy to learn. Anyone can play. You don't need tons of expensive gear. And it's super social. Building a community around the sport. It just makes sense.
I love that focus on community. It's such a core part of the pickleball experience, and it's what sets it apart from a lot of other sports.
Totally. And then you've got Minister Abdul Karim talking about how pickleball might even end up in Suksar, the Sukma, maybe even the SEA Games. He compared its growth to Muay Thai, which is fascinating.
If pickleball reaches that level of national and regional recognition, that's when things really explode. It'll attract a whole new wave of players and really solidify its place in Malaysian sports.
So the sport's growing like crazy. It's super accessible. It builds community, and it has government support. But what about the business side?
Right. Let's talk about Malaysian PLCs and the ESG world. The playbook really emphasizes how ESG reporting is becoming more and more important in Malaysia. It's getting a lot more serious.
No kidding. We've got the National Sustainability Reporting Framework, the NSRF, that the Securities Commission Malaysia launched back in September 2024. And their big focus is making sure Malaysian companies are reporting on sustainability in a way that aligns with global standards, like the ISSB.
And aligning with those international frameworks like the ISSB, it's huge. It makes everything more transparent. Investors and stakeholders can actually compare companies apples to apples, which means they can make more informed decisions.
And it's not just a suggestion. This is mandatory now. Listed companies on Bursa Malaysia's main and ACE markets, even big non-listed companies bringing in RM2 billion or more in revenue, they've all got to comply. And Bernard Business Consulting says it's all because investors and stakeholders are demanding it. They want to see that accountability.
And it's about time. Transparency is key.
Wow.
And that mandatory compliance. It's a sign that Malaysia's taking ESG seriously and that companies are being held responsible for their impact.
Right. And it's being implemented gradually. Plus, the Edge Malaysia reported that the NSRS is built on the IFRS Sustainability Disclosure Standards, so it's all very structured and internationally recognized.
This is great. It means Malaysian companies are being held to the same standard as their international counterparts, making them more attractive to global investors who are increasingly focused on ESG.
And to show they mean business, Bursa Malaysia updated their listing requirements just last December in 2024 to be totally in sync with the NSRF. It's all coming together.
It's impressive how quickly they're moving. But now the question is, what are Malaysian companies actually prioritizing when it comes to ESG?
Good question. And here's something that really surprised me. Wiki Impact did this analysis that showed education is getting the lion's share of charitable giving, like 33.6% of it.
Wow. Okay, so education is a big deal for Malaysian companies, which makes sense. Investing in education is essential for any country's future.
Oh, definitely. But here's the catch. Sports. It's only getting a tiny slice of the pie, like 1.8%. That's a huge difference. And that's a gap that Malaysian PLCs could really take advantage of, right?
Oh, yeah. Especially given how fast pickleball is growing here. It's practically a blank canvas for these companies.
Right. So you've got this major opportunity for Malaysian businesses to do something different, to make a real impact in sports, and to align themselves with this, this wave of pickleball enthusiasm. And the playbook also pointed out something pretty interesting. There's a lot of inconsistency in how companies report on their ESG activities. It's all over the
I
place.
think it's a problem. There's no standardization, which makes it really tough to compare companies or see if they're actually making progress. Hopefully the NSRF will help with that.
Yeah, it should help a lot. And another bright spot is that the National Center for Biotechnology Information reported that companies are paying more attention to workplace wellness programs here in Malaysia, which is great, because these programs have been shown to reduce healthcare costs and even cut down on employee absences.
Workplace wellness is so important, both for the employees and for the company's bottom line.
Totally. So we've got a growing sport, stricter reporting requirements, and a real opportunity to shake things up. Now, how does pickleball actually fit into the ESG framework for Malaysian companies?
Right. Let's break it down.
So the playbook is pretty clear. Pickleball fits mostly under the social pillar of ESG. Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You got the community aspect, the accessibility. It just feels right.
Yeah, totally. The social aspect is definitely where pickleball shines.
Okay, so let's talk about employee wellness and engagement. The World Health Organization, even they say workplaces are super important for promoting good health and preventing all those chronic diseases, as the National Center for Biotechnology Information pointed out.
Makes sense. We spend so much time at work, it's the perfect place to encourage healthy habits.
Right, and pickleball is perfect for that. It's low impact, so anyone can play, no matter how old or fit you are. It gets people moving, it's social, and it's just plain fun. It can be a great stress reliever, too.
All of that adds up to healthier, happier employees. And a healthier, happier workforce is a more engaged and productive workforce. Win-win.
Exactly. And then there's community engagement and development. Imagine a company building public pickleball courts, sponsoring training programs for kids, maybe even supporting local pickleball tournaments.
That's fantastic. Those are tangible, visible ways to give back to the community and show that you're invested in their well-being. It builds good relationships and helps companies connect with the people they serve.
Exactly. And the playbook also talks about how good pickleball is for diversity and inclusion because it can be played by people of all ages, men and women can compete together, and it can even be adapted for people with disabilities. That's a big deal.
Huge. It's a sport that truly embraces everyone. And for companies that are prioritizing diversity and inclusion, well, pickleball is a perfect way to put those values into action.
Okay, now the environmental pillar might seem a little less obvious, but the playbook makes some interesting points here. For example, when companies build pickleball facilities, they can design them with sustainability in mind. Things like energy-efficient lighting, sustainable building materials, and even using solar power.
That's thinking long term, and it makes a statement. It shows that the company is committed to sustainability even in their recreational facilities.
Right. And pickleball courts are super efficient with space. You can fit 4 pickleball courts in the same area as 1 tennis court. Plus, you can convert existing spaces, which is way better for the environment than building something brand new.
That's a great point. Adaptive reuse is such a smart approach. It's environmentally responsible, and it can often be more cost-effective than starting from scratch.
So even on the environmental front, pickleball can play a role.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to governance, the playbook emphasizes transparent reporting, keeping track of how many people are participating, what kind of health improvements employees are seeing, how engaged the community is. And they also talk about the importance of involving stakeholders in the process.
That's key for good governance, making sure things are transparent, accountable, and that everyone feels heard.
So it's not just about building a court and calling it a day. You need to think about how you're going to measure your impact, how you're going to report on it, and how you're going to make sure everyone's on board.
It's about doing it right. It has to be genuine, measurable, and sustainable in the long run.
Okay, so pickleball seems like it can fit. But how would a company actually, put these ideas into practice?
Good question. Let's get into the implementation models.
So the playbook lays out 4 main models.
Mm.
First, there are the internal employee programs. This is where companies build pickleball courts on-site, maybe set up employee leagues and tournaments, even offer training sessions so people can learn the game. It's all about putting employees first.
And that makes sense, right? A healthy, engaged workforce is a productive workforce. It's a great way to boost morale, encourage teamwork, and get people moving.
Then there are the community development programs. This is about looking outward. Think about building public pickleball courts, setting up youth programs, making sure the company's facilities are open to the community.
Love it. This shows real commitment to the community. It goes beyond just, writing a check. It's about actually investing in the well-being of the community.
Exactly. Then there are sponsorship and partnership models. So companies can sponsor pickleball tournaments, partner with local pickleball clubs, even sponsor individual athletes. It's a way to get involved and support the growth of the sport.
Sponsorships can be a really smart move, too. It raises the profile of the sport, supports the athletes, and it gets the company's name out there in a positive light.
And the last model is integrated facility development. This is about incorporating pickleball courts into bigger development projects, like mixed-use developments or community centers, or even like repurposing existing spaces to create pickleball courts.
It's about being creative with space and resources, and it makes pickleball more accessible to more people, which is great.
Okay, so there are lots of ways to do this. But now let's talk about the practical stuff. How much is all this going to cost?
The million-dollar question.
Right. The playbook breaks down potential costs, and it's a wide range. Building a new indoor pickleball court could cost anywhere from RM 50,000 to RM 150,000. Outdoor courts are a little cheaper, maybe RM 30,000 to RM 80,000. And if you're converting an existing space, it'll probably cost somewhere between RM 15,000 and RM 40,000 per court. And then you've got to buy equipment, paddles, balls, nets. Figure another RM 5,000 to RM 15,000 for that.
That gives you a rough idea of the initial investment. But it's important to remember that those costs can vary depending on the specifics of the project.
Totally. And then you've got your ongoing operational costs. Maintenance for each court could be RM 5,000 to RM 15,000 per year. And then there might be staff costs if you're hiring instructors or coordinators, plus the costs of running leagues or tournaments.
You can't just build it and forget it. Those operational costs are crucial to factor in. You've got to keep the lights on and the courts in good shape.
Right. It's an ongoing investment. And sponsorships. Well, they can range a lot depending on what you're sponsoring. A local community tournament might cost RM 10,000 or so to sponsor. But if you want to be the title sponsor of a big national tournament, it'll probably be over RM 100,000. Partnering with clubs or sponsoring athletes has its own set of costs, too.
Sponsorships can be a very strategic investment. It's about finding the right opportunity that aligns with the company's goals and budget.
Okay, so costs. Got it. But what about the benefits? What's the payoff for all this?
Now we're talking. Benefits are where it gets exciting.
So some benefits are really tangible, like if employees get healthier from playing pickleball, the company might see lower healthcare costs. Plus, sponsorships and community engagement efforts can really raise the company's profile and generate goodwill. That's valuable.
Those are the kind of benefits you can really measure. And for investors and stakeholders, that's what they want to see. Concrete evidence the company is making a difference.
Right. And then there are the ESG reporting benefits. Companies can show how they're supporting employees and communities, how they're getting with stakeholders, how they're incorporating sustainable design into their facilities.
This is where the rubber meets the road. It's all about showing how pickleball is helping the company achieve its ESG goals, which is becoming increasingly important for attracting investors and building trust with stakeholders.
And thinking long-term, investing in pickleball could help companies attract and keep talented employees who value wellness and community involvement. Plus, it can strengthen relationships with the community and make a company stand out as being innovative and socially responsible.
Those long-term benefits are harder to measure, but they're incredibly powerful. It's about building a reputation as a company that cares about its people, its community, and its impact on the world.
So lots to consider. But for those in the sustainability world, how can companies effectively measure and report on all of this? How do you make sure it's all legit,
Measurement and reporting, it's crucial. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of good intentions.
Right. The playbook really stresses the need for good metrics. So when it comes to social impact, you're looking at things like participation rates, how many employees are playing, how many people in the community are involved. You're also looking at health outcomes, employee satisfaction, diversity and inclusion, making sure everyone feels welcome.
You've got to track those social metrics to see if the program is actually making a difference in people's lives. Are employees getting healthier? Is the community more engaged? Are we reaching a diverse group of people? Those are the questions you need to answer.
And for the environmental side, you'd measure things like how efficiently you're using space, how much energy you're using if you have indoor facilities, and whether you're using sustainable materials in your construction and maintenance.
Even though pickleball is primarily a social initiative, tracking environmental impact shows that you're taking a holistic approach to sustainability. It's about being mindful of your footprint, even when you're having fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for governance, you're tracking how transparent the program is, how you're gathering feedback from stakeholders, and how resources are being allocated.
Good governance is all about accountability, transparency, and continuous improvement. It's about making sure the program is managed responsibly and ethically.
Okay, so you've got your metrics. Now you've got to report on all of this. The playbook says that companies need to align their reporting with those big ESG frameworks, like the IFRS Sustainability Disclosure Standards, which is what the NSRF requires. And if they're using the GRI standards, there are ways to include this information there too. They even suggest linking pickleball initiatives to specific UN Sustainable Development Goals, like good health and well-being, sustainable cities and communities, and partnerships for the goals.
This is so important for credibility and comparability. When companies use these established frameworks, it makes it easier for investors and stakeholders to understand what they're doing and to compare them to other companies.
But of course, there are challenges. Companies have to figure out if their pickleball initiatives are, big enough to warrant reporting on. They've got to develop ways to accurately measure the impact. And most importantly, they've got to avoid greenwashing. They need to show that they're truly committed, not just doing this for good PR.
Absolutely. It has to be genuine. Companies need to be honest about their impact, avoid making exaggerated claims, and be transparent about their challenges as well as their successes.
Right. Now, to help illustrate all of this, the playbook uses this really interesting case study. It's about a fictional company called Malaysia Corp Berhad.
Ah, yes. The pickleball pioneers. Let's dive into their story.
So Malaysia Corp is this manufacturing and consumer goods company with over 5,000 employees spread out across KL, Selangor, Penang, and Sarawak. And they're already focused on ESG. They care about the environment, employee development, and community engagement.
Sounds like they're in a good position to take advantage of pickleball then.
Exactly. So the playbook lays out this whole plan for how Malaysia Corp could implement pickleball. First, they'd build pickleball courts at their HQ in KL and at a couple of their manufacturing sites. They'd make sure employees have all the equipment they need. They'd organize weekly games and quarterly tournaments, and they'd even offer coaching sessions.
That's a comprehensive internal program, hitting all the right notes. It's about giving employees access, encouragement, and the opportunity to improve their skills.
And for the community, they'd open their facilities to the public, partner with local schools to set up youth programs, and host community-wide tournaments.
It's about extending that pickleball love beyond the walls of the company, bringing people together, creating a sense of community, and promoting healthy living.
They'd also sponsor a big Malaysia Court Pickleball Championship. To highlight local talent, they'd sponsor national-level players, and they'd even help build public courts in underserved areas.
Now that's putting your money where your mouth is. It shows real commitment to the sport and to making it accessible to everyone.
And when it comes to reporting, they'd track everything: employee participation, community engagement, diversity and inclusion, the sustainability of their facilities, how they're managing the program, and how they're getting feedback from stakeholders.
It's a data-driven approach, which is essential for showing the impact of the program and for making sure it is aligned with the company's broader ESG strategy.
The playbook says that all of this could lead to some pretty great outcomes for Malaysia Corp. Things like healthier and happier employees, stronger relationships with the community, more brand recognition as a socially responsible company, and better ESG reporting.
It's a win-win-win situation, really. The company benefits, the employees benefit, and the community benefits. And that's the power of a well-executed ESG initiative.
Now, for companies that are exploring different ESG options, it's also helpful to see how pickleball stacks up against other initiatives.
Right. Comparisons are super helpful. You want to know what you're getting into.
So when you compare pickleball to, say, sponsoring traditional sports, pickleball's got some big advantages. It's easier for people to play, it doesn't require a ton of space, and it's growing super fast.
It's the up-and-comer, the exciting new kid on the block. It's got that energy and potential that a lot of traditional sports might be lacking.
Exactly. Now, it might not have the same reach as, say, football or badminton, at least not yet. But the growth potential is huge.
It's a good point. Companies need to consider their reach and visibility goals. But if they're looking to tap into a rapidly growing market, pickleball is a smart bet.
Now, compared to company gyms or fitness centers, pickleball is way more social. It's about community, and it's just more fun for a lot of people.
It's about that shared experience. You're not just working out, you're connecting with people, having laughs, and building relationships. That's powerful.
Plus, pickleball is probably cheaper to set up and run than a full-blown gym, but you do need dedicated space, and it might not appeal to everyone.
That's true. Not everyone's going to be into pickleball. But the beauty of it is it can be one offering among many. Companies can provide a variety of wellness options to cater to different interests and preferences.
Now, if you compare pickleball to things like education programs, which are, super important, pickleball has this advantage of being more hands-on and immediate.
Right. With pickleball, you're building something tangible. You're seeing people get active and engaged right away. It's immediate gratification in a good way.
And then there are those digital health interventions that are popular now. Pickleball offers something that those can't: real in-person interaction and a sense of community.
That human connection is irreplaceable, and especially in today's digital world, it's more important than ever. Pickleball brings people together face-to-face for some good old-fashioned fun and exercise.
So lots of potential, but also some challenges. What are some things companies should watch out for?
Challenges are inevitable, right? It's how you anticipate and navigate them that matters.
So first off, space. Finding enough space, especially in cities, can be a real headache. And Malaysia's weather can be unpredictable. Outdoor courts might be out of commission when it's raining or scorching hot.
Logistics. You've got to plan for the practicalities. Maybe covered courts, indoor facilities, flexible scheduling. Companies need to be creative and adaptable.
Right. And then there's employee engagement. You've got to get people excited about pickleball and keep them coming back for more. It's not going to work if people just try it once and then never play again.
That's where good programming comes in. Fun tournaments, social events, different skill levels. It's about making it inclusive and engaging for everyone.
And if you're opening your facilities to the community, there's a whole other set of things to think about. How do you manage access? How do you keep everyone safe? What about liability issues?
Yeah, opening up to the public adds another layer of complexity. It's crucial to have clear guidelines, safety protocols, and a solid plan for managing access and addressing any concerns that arise.
And then there's all that regulatory and reporting stuff. Making sure you're aligned with those ESG frameworks, accurately measuring your impact, and making sure you're not greenwashing.
It's all about doing things the right way with integrity and transparency. You've got to be able to back up your claims with solid data, and you have to be honest about your challenges as well as your successes.
Right. And the playbook even threw in some Google Trends data just to show how real this pickleball trend is. Searches for pickleball paddle in Malaysia have skyrocketed, especially since the middle of 2023. And Sarawak and the Klang Valley are leading the way.
The data doesn't lie. Pickleball is hot right now, and it's only going to get hotter. This is a trend with staying power.
So what's the takeaway? What should Malaysian companies be doing?
Time for some action items.
First, the playbook says companies need to do a strategic alignment assessment. Figure out how pickleball fits into your overall ESG strategy, your values, and what your stakeholders want. It's got to be a good match.
It's all about intentionality. You can't just jump on the bandwagon. You need to make sure pickleball makes sense for your company and that it aligns with your larger sustainability goals.
They also recommend starting small with a phased implementation. Test the waters, see how it goes, get feedback, and then scale up gradually.
Pilot programs are your friend. They allow you to experiment, learn, and adapt before going all in. It's a much safer and more strategic approach.
And don't try to do it alone. Partner with local pickleball clubs, the National Association, even government agencies. They've got the expertise and the connections.
Partnerships are key, especially in a new and growing field like pickleball. They can provide valuable guidance, resources, and support that would be difficult to replicate on your own.
And of course, you've got to measure, measure, measure. Set clear goals, track your progress, and report on your results. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Data is king. It's what gives credibility to your efforts and allows you to demonstrate the real impact of your pickleball initiatives.
And last but not least, make sure pickleball is woven into your overall ESG strategy. Don't treat it as a separate thing. It should be part of a bigger picture.
It's about integration and synergy. Pickleball should complement and enhance your other sustainability initiatives, not compete with them. It's about telling a cohesive and compelling story about your company's commitment to ESG.
So that's the playbook. Pickleball, it's fun, it's accessible, it builds community. And it might just be the ESG game changer that Malaysian companies are looking for.
I'm convinced pickleball has incredible potential for Malaysian businesses, especially those that are serious about social impact and ESG performance.
Exactly. And with Malaysia's ESG landscape evolving so quickly with the NSRF, pickleball could be a really smart way for companies to stand out, show that they're committed to making a difference, and become leaders in corporate social responsibility.
It's an exciting time for pickleball in Malaysia, and I'm eager to see how companies embrace this opportunity.
Me too. For all of you listening, think about it. Could pickleball be a good fit for your company? Maybe it's time to give it a shot.